Welcome to the first issue of Chalk Top. This is the official newsletter of Elizabeth Estrada. The first article in Chalk Top is going to actually talk about what information processing is. Now, we've all heard the phrase in one ear and out the other, but what's really going on is how you are processing your information. So whether you are actually taking it in and absorbing that information, and it's going to either your short-term memory or your long-term memory, or it's just information that you are just going to absorb and be done with instantly. That is what the stages of information processing are. Now, as we go to our next article, The Vessels of Information Processing, written by yours truly, we talk about what are the sensory portions of learning. So the sensory portions of learning are going to be sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell. So those are how you are absorbing the information that you are retaining. So whether you know right off the bat that a certain smell is floral, or that hearing a certain object really hurts your ears, this is you having experience with it and you've learned it, so it's in your long-term memory. But you're learning them through your sensory modalities. The next article is Yes, we categorize our memories. What does that really mean? Well, categorizing our memories means that they are going to be in our short-term memory, our long-term memory, or in our sensory, where they just kind of go in one ear and out the other. So those are the categorizations of how we categorize our memories. I just really liked this quote. It said, "All our knowledge begins with the senses, proceeds then to the understanding, and ends with reason. There is nothing higher than reason." And that really captures what is happening with our information processing, that we begin with our senses and then we proceed to understand it, and soon it ends with our reasoning and whether or not we've grasped that information, and then we can add to it as we develop later in our skills. Our next article talks about how our minds are like computers. Now, when we talk about how our minds are like computers, we think about the certain aspects of what a computer does. What does a computer do? You type in information, then you hit enter and it processes that information, and then the last stage is that it produces what you have asked for. That is how our brain works. We type it in, so we are hearing it, we're seeing it, we're touching it, and then we're processing it. It's going into our short-term memory and we're kind of thinking about it. And then at the final stage, we either retain that information and move on, or it stays in our short-term memory and we quickly lose it. So that's the same thing on how it compares our minds to computers. Now, this is volume 2 of Chalk Talk, the official newsletter of Elizabeth Estrada. And in this one, we actually talk about what is multiple intelligences. So multiple intelligences are the different ways we as individuals learn, or what we are kind of good at and how we learn. So I like to use the example of Sheldon. There was once we all know Sheldon from Big Bang Theory, really smart and, incredibly intelligent. And his mind works so fast and he's so above us. So in one scene, he's trying to tell Penny what her boyfriend actually did for a living. And the way he is describing it, she has no idea what he's even talking about. She doesn't understand the words, the verbiage, the way he is saying it, or even what he's trying to get across. So eventually, she just memorizes a portion to talk about to her boyfriend instead of actually learning the concept. But that is actually our multiple intelligence at work, because Penny may not understand it the way Sheldon is explaining it, because he may be very theoretical, mathematical, using using a certain kind of interpersonal type of learning, whereas she may need to have more body consent. She needs to do hands-on to understand what it is, or she needs to have additional models up, and it needs to be written out, and she needs to know the definition of it. So her brain works differently, and that's, as teachers, we have to end up doing too, is really learning what our students are all about, how best that they learn. So this is our article on, or my article on, what is multiple intelligences. And I hope you liked that little Sheldon analogy. I really found that interesting. So the next articles are very short articles, just quickly about the 8 different types of multiple intelligences. So linguistic, this is really the verbal aspect of it. So people really are good at writing and reading, and they're good with the written word. They're good at talking. So that's how they really, really learn, is by you talking to them, by them reading things, by them hearing, listening, and seeing on paper what you are trying to learn. The next one is musical intelligences. So these type of people are really good. They're very intelligent with music. They find beats very easy and rhythm. And so that's what our article is about for musical intelligences. Our interpersonal intelligences are people who really reflect on themselves. They know a lot about themselves and less about the world around them, but they use what they know about themselves to help them learn what they are good at. Our spatial intelligences are really the people that learn with mapping or structures. They're really good at buildings and visually seeing inside their head how something is supposed to look. They know that a building is supposed to look a certain way, or when they're looking at the model of how they're going to construct something, they can visually see it inside their head and build that manually. Then we have our logical mathematical. So that's pretty basic. That's talking about how individuals are intelligent mathematically. So they find patterns really easily. They work really well with numbers, calculations, and most of all, they're very good with problem solving. Let's move on to our naturalist. Our naturalists are people who learn from the world around them, what is happening around them. They're nature people. They really learn from that hands-on, out in the real world, how that relates to them. Those are our naturalists, our naturalist intelligence. Our interpersonal intelligences, these people learn best in social interaction. So when they are learning from others, their interactions from people, they're really, really good with people. So that's our interpersonal. They learn best with people around them. And last is our bodily kinesthetic. So this is people who really need hand gestures. They need movement, and they do really well when they are learning hands-on. And of course, I kind of thought of this as being Albert Einstein. He was, one of the great mathematical minds of our world, but he also was really intelligent, I feel like, in all of these personalities. So I hope you enjoy my newsletter. Thank you so much. Bye.